Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today, Tyler, we are talking all about everything that will happen in Week 15 of the 2020 college football season. We're going to talk about the impending Florida-LSU matchup to end the regular season. We are then going to go into our 5 wide picks and our 2 points. I got a lot catching up to do, Tyler. And then we will also get into the college football playoff rankings. But first, Tyler, we will begin with the big news that was released today. Ohio State and Michigan will not be playing this coming Saturday. That cancels one of the biggest rivalries in college football due to Michigan's outbreak.
Well, it's not like the game was going to be good anyway, so.
No, it was not going to be good.
Kind of lucked out here.
We lucked out in terms of the audience
I'm
viewing.
just kidding.
Well, I think we lucked out in terms of viewing the audience viewing a good football game.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
But unfortunately for Ohio State, this now finishes their regular season with 5 games played. They've gone 5-0, and that leaves them 1 game short of the Big Ten requirement of 6 games needed to play in their conference championship game. Tyler, we've seen college football conferences move things around for certain teams, especially this year. Why do we have any reason to believe that the Big Ten won't do anything different?
We have no reason. They've said that they're gonna do it. Like, there is no reason. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we're considering changing those things. And I actually will say I'm not totally against the Big Ten doing that, in the sense of, like, they are clearly your best team, and because of other factors than the actual game being played on the field, they're being prevented from going to the championship game because of lack of games. Now, I want to clarify when I say that this entire situation is entirely the Big Ten's fault, because they put themselves in this situation. Like we said, when they announced the schedule that they were coming back with, it's like, so you're going to try and play all of your games with no bye weeks, and you expect that to just magically work out.
Talk to him, Tyler.
And it didn't. Just like,
shocker.
They literally all said that it wouldn't. And it wasn't like, and it's one of those things where it's clearly, and this is why I'm not surprised at any of this information. I don't understand why people are. The Big Ten returning to play was literally just a ploy to get Ohio State in. I'm not saying this is like a conspiracy theory, but if they wanted to play the season just on the grounds of the season being played, they would have done it the way the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 have made out their schedules, and they would have just gone later. But no, they had to have it done by the playoff, because they want the playoff money. And
that's their fault.
I don't blame them for that, but it's backtracking from a situation they put themselves in.
Right.
And so I'm not surprised at all that the Big Ten is probably going to change the rules around. Honestly, I don't really care, because my take on it, and you can disagree, it's more of the thing that this will just figure itself out on Selection Sunday. Like, and we're going to talk about it, but it's also one of those things where, like, other games will get played that will make it clear whether or not Ohio State deserves to be in or not.
Right. And for me, it's more of an integrity thing, but I think integrity was thrown out the window with the Big Ten when they decided not to play. They were one of the first team conference not to play. Then they said, we will play. And then they said, but we're only going to do this if we could squeeze it into 8 weeks with no bye weeks. And I lost the integrity aspect of it. So yeah, I understand that this conference is going to move the rules around, which honestly, the rules have been moving around all year long for every conference. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not a uniquely Big Ten thing. Like,
no, it's not. But my thing is that at the beginning of the season, how does Indiana feel about this? Because you look at Indiana, they play competitive against Ohio State. They have a fantastic year so far. They win the rest of their other games. They're eligible in the Big Ten championship to play in that game. And it's unfair to them, because now, just because Ohio State could not adhere, I don't want to say not their fault, because other teams have outbreaks and stuff. Like this situation with Michigan, not entirely their fault. Michigan's the team that canceled. But there was an understanding at the beginning of the season that said, listen, as a conference, the 14 of us, we are going to agree to these rules that say, if X happens, Y has to follow. And now, because Ohio State wasn't able to get the minimum amount of games in, they're just going to change the rules because Ohio State wants to make it. Like, no, like at a certain point, rules are rules. Now, I understand that that is not the world that we are living in college football, and I understand that the committee can do whatever they want at the end of the day. The guidelines that they put with putting value on a conference champion is not, they're not bound to those things. They basically make these arbitrary, vague rules that talk about what they consider, but at the end of the day, they really honestly just do whatever they want. There's no rules in that sense. So I understand it. I don't agree with it personally. I think there's a certain point where you have to draw a line in the sand. And if I'm Ohio State and I say, oh, but things would have changed, then I would have said at the beginning, I'm not agreeing to these rules. We need to make an amendment. Like, as long as things agree, you know, people asked us, friends of ours in group chats were asking, well, what happens if this is the same situation but Florida's playing, right? Because that's the team that we love. Honestly, if this happened to Florida, it would suck. But you know what? I would actually have more respect and value Scott Strickland and all the other athletic directors in the SEC more if they said, sorry, these are the rules that we agreed upon. It would suck because we wouldn't be able to play in the title game, but those are the rules we agreed upon, you know? That's just my little rant because I just want people to understand that I'm fully aware that that is not the way that college football in 2020 works. I'm just saying that...
Yeah, especially this year.
Especially this year, right. And things are subject to change this year more than any other year. But if you're going to set these rules based on the changes of this year, based on the unique circumstance of the coronavirus, then you're going to have to adhere by them, you know? It's not change the rules when it doesn't apply to me or when it affects me. It's follow the rules, period, you know?
Yeah. I think you bring up a lot of good points, and it would be interesting to see what you'd feel like when your team was in that situation, because we'll never know.
No, exactly. I say that
I will, however, provide, and we don't have to spend a long time discussing, and we honestly don't have to spend any time discussing this, but I will provide a quick counter to your Indiana is pissed off argument. If Indiana's entire argument for making it to the Big Ten Championship is that Ohio State missed a game, and therefore they now get it, I don't really buy that, because Indiana, if you wanted to go to the Big Ten Championship, you know what you should have done? You should have beaten Ohio State. Like,
100%.
I don't buy that. I don't like. I mean, it would have been. I love it for the lulls, like for the jokes when it's like, oh, Ohio State could miss because they missed a game, and Indiana, a team that they beat, would make it. And I love Indiana, and that's all good and hilarious, and I love we talk about it. But I don't actually buy that Indiana's getting robbed in any of this. In any case, Ohio State would actually, I agree, would be the one getting robbed of the conference championship. They're undefeated, and because of other factors, they are getting held out of a division and a championship game that they rightfully want to place into.
No, and
that argument does not translate to what we've been talking about in regards to the playoff. That is a different thing. It's just interesting, but again, it just reminds you this year is weird.
Even that sentence.
It had it right there. It happened right there. Yeah.
Even that sentence, man.
Yeah.
No, but and I think in the words of the late great Daryl Grove of Total Soccer Show, he would say a lot. Things can be two things, right? Your point, I 100% agree with, and I think my point, in theory, you also agree with.
I do.
We can agree on both of those things, and that's okay. You don't have to pick a side and have things be absolutely like that. So, with that being said, Tyler, one last thing here on the Ohio State situation. There are 2 more postponements this week, right? Or cancellations,
really interesting teams that got postponed.
Very interesting. We have Ole Miss and Texas A&M being postponed / canceled, not sure. And we also have Cincinnati Tulsa being, I know it's canceled. So, Tyler,
first of all, they played next week for the championship game.
Right. Their regular season game is canceled. Their championship game is still on the line next week for the American Conference title. Tyler, what do you think of the possibility of Ohio State playing either another Big Ten team, which has been floated out because there's a couple other teams that may have an open spot, and what do you think about maybe them possibly playing a Texas A&M or a Cincinnati in a potential top 10 showdown that would, I think, squander all... I think it would smash all questions about the teams participating, their playoff anticipations. You know what I mean?
Well, let me just say real quick that it is hilarious to me that the 3 most interesting fringe playoff teams all had games canceled this weekend.
I know, right?
Like every other fringe playoff team is basically in a situation where we're just waiting to conference championship week and then we'll see what happens. But I'll say the thing that Ohio State has is that, one, they need to win. It doesn't really matter. I would actually argue it doesn't really matter who they play right now.
Mm-hmm.
Their argument is not how they look, because they just drubbed Michigan State by 40 points.
Right.
If they keep winning by 40 points, it's not going to matter who they play because they're Ohio State. The thing is, they can't get in with 5 games and everyone else has played 9 or 10. They can't do that. No one.
Mm-hmm.
And well, maybe they can, but like the odds are not looking good. Perception is not looking good. And I think the big part is that Ohio State probably could have hung their hat on, well, we can't just schedule games around and move them around willy-nilly, except for the fact that BYU and Coastal just did that last week. And everyone loved that game.
In their defense, Tyler, they don't belong to a conference that has a strict. Both those teams, well, BYU's an independent and Coastal in the Sun Belt. Both of those teams don't belong to a conference that hamstrings them with conference-only schedules.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
However, you're right, but the point here is that there isn't an excuse for, well, our game got canceled. What are you gonna do? Blame us for the virus existing?
Mm-hmm.
No, like there are ways around this. They're not the team hamstrung with it, and there are other teams out there that don't have a free weekend. So
right.
it's just that because BYU and Coastal proved you could do it in a short week, that argument's not going to exist in anyone's mind. So Ohio State, in my opinion, like, unless those other two schools are uncooperative, which I don't know why they would be, because Texas A&M and Cincinnati both have things to prove by playing Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should try and get a game done. I hear rumors on Twitter that there's one in the works for Ohio State, Texas A&M. I have no clue whether or not that's true.
Listen,
who knows? It's not from reputable sources. I just keep hearing it.
Right. There have been many rumors on Twitter today, which is why I don't really want to dive into any of those potential matchups. I was just asking to see, how well received would a potential out of conference game be between any of these 3 teams that are playing?
I would receive it very well. I would love to see Ohio State play Texas A&M. I would love to see Ohio State play Cincinnati. I think Ohio State Texas A&M game would probably be a better game.
Yeah.
But I want to see it. I want to see, if more for nothing else, I want to see Ohio State play more football.
Yeah.
Like I want to see them play more football.
And I think that's a consensus, because we know they're a good football team, but it's a matter of we haven't been able to see it.
And they've played 5 games. Yeah. I would argue you could pick a 5-game stretch that Florida's played where Florida's looked better than them.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't make sense in your brain because Ohio State's supposed to be on this different tier. And I think in a normal 12-game schedule, I even think that they still are. They're on like the upper tier, and Florida is on just the next tier right now, pushing maybe into that depending on what happens this season. But Florida's played 9 games, about to be 10, about to be 11 after that.
Right.
Ohio State's played 5, and like we just all know from watching football that a lot can happen in a 12-game schedule.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose 5-game series. That's what, and everyone else has such larger, like such dramatically larger conferences that they finished.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see them play more games. I want to really see what type of team this is, because the whole argument of they beat exclusively losing team, like all the teams that they beat have a losing record, doesn't hold a lot of weight to me because you can only play the opponents you have.
Right.
And the reality is that everyone in the Big Ten sucks this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's not a good conference this year. So.
It's really not. Then Indiana was it's like the next best team, and maybe Northwestern, which they would kill Northwestern. But
yeah, I'd agree. I don't
know.
All right, so that's it on the postponements and cancellations. Tyler, quickly, there was a new batch of college football playoff rankings. Tyler, I'm going to read through them really quickly. You just tell me when to stop when you want to talk about a team. All right?
All right.
So we'll start number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Notre Dame. Number 3, Clemson. Number 4, Ohio State. 5, Texas A&M. 6, Florida. 7, Iowa State.
Pause the game.
I knew that was going to be it, Tyler.
The game. I don't even have anything constructive to say here. I just wanted to take a moment to realize that Iowa State is ranked number 7 in the college football playoff.
Tyler, I have a hat on at the moment. My hat is coming off for Matt Campbell.
There it is.
My hat is coming off for Matt Campbell because
this is one of those equivalent to Mississippi State being the number 1 seed in the first ever college football playoff moments. Like this is
Yes.
is equivalent trivia.
Yes, history right here in the making.
Yeah.
So because Iowa State is at 7, Cincinnati dropped down to 8. Tyler, how do you feel about Cincinnati going from in the early teens, jumping all the way up to 7 in front of Cincinnati? Because I know a mutual friend of ours, who we will not mention on this pod, but a mutual friend of ours did tweet today. Actually, I will mention him. I think it'll be fine. Our friend Ryan, our friend Ryan tweeted that great man, great broadcaster.
Yes.
He tweeted that he believes Iowa State being put at 7 is just the committee playing chess. These are my words now. Chess, not checkers, to keep Cincinnati out of the playoff. Do you believe that to be true? And do you believe that Iowa State, after what we saw last week and after what we've seen the entire season, deserves to be put at 7 above Cincinnati?
This is tough because I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't agree. Like, arguably, I would say Iowa State has an even harder path to the playoff than Cincinnati because they have 2 losses. And they have.
I would disagree with that statement.
Well, it's the argument of what's more important, like an undefeated record or a 2-loss Big 12 championship that would have beaten Oklahoma twice. And that's the other thing you got to consider into this. Iowa State has beaten Oklahoma, and Cincinnati hasn't. So I don't, and a part
but
of
in Cincinnati's defense, they haven't had the opportunity to.
Yes, and that's the terrible thing that they're in. The situation they're in is that the terrible situation the G5 gets themselves in is that they play another good G5 team. Then the argument just becomes, well, that other ranked G5 team just wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. That's never really the situation for Power 5 teams. But if Tulsa is ranked number 24, they would have been Cincinnati's probably best win at the moment if they played this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma's at 11, so that's a bit different. And I think Iowa State has looked... It is important to note that Iowa State has looked considerably better every week that they've played. And now, the last 2 weeks, they have dominated teams. And I think there's just a human element of hearing when they locked up the number 1 seed in the Big 12 championship, their first regular season conference championship since 1912. I think maybe that just put them over. And also, I don't think Cincinnati played last week. So...
Yeah.
I don't... It almost, I hate to be like this, it almost doesn't matter to me because, I mean, either Iowa State's going to beat Oklahoma again, in which case I would argue they should jump Cincinnati, or they're going to lose and they're going to get knocked down.
I would also argue that the COVID hit at Cincinnati came at the worst possible time.
That's my thing. I don't remember the last time I watched Cincinnati play a football game.
I think it was not last week, but the week before. And they're not going to be playing this coming Saturday unless something is scheduled with, unless, they get the Ohio State game, which would be a fantastic football game. But that's just ifs and we wish. But that's how I feel with this situation. I think it's because Cincinnati hasn't been in the public discourse for now 2 weeks. It's going to be 3.
And teams get punished for having bye weeks in a normal year. Teams get punished in the rankings for having bye weeks. If you didn't play, there's a chance you could drop down.
It's very out of sight, out of mind with teams.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep pushing forward. Stop me if you want to talk about a specific team. Georgia at 9, Miami at 10, Oklahoma at 11, Indiana 12, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers at 13.
10-0. 10-0. 10-0. I just want to shout out to my boy here, Sergio, who said that, I wouldn't mind if Coastal Carolina and BYU just flipped. And what did they do? They literally flipped spots.
They flipped, so and I love to see it. Thought it was fantastic.
Well. I like to see Indiana stay at 12 as well, but continue.
I do as well. Nebraska, at 14 we have Northwestern. At 15 we have USC. At 16 we have Iowa. 17 North Carolina. 18 the aforementioned BYU. 19 Louisiana. 20 Texas. You gonna stop there? We could pit stop, a gas stop. Just put the gas in real quick.
It just 20 for Texas feels wrong. This doesn't feel like a ranked Texas team. Mm-hmm. But then I look at their record and they're 6-3, and that's the hard thing is that all the records look so different right now.
Yeah, it's hard to assess.
Yeah,
it's funny because
go ahead.
I said I would agree with you, but I look at the teams after them, and I'm pretty confident that they can beat the 5 teams after them. So
Yeah.
then I feel that I get wrapped back into going, okay, I guess so.
It's just you have to understand. Oh, it's just the understanding of. Sometimes teams don't feel like ranked teams, but then you look at what the actual field is, and you're like, oh, it's just this is one of those years where
Right, exactly.
There has to be a top 25. Like,
yeah, exactly. Someone's got to be in there.
The quality of the entire top 25 changes from year to year. Sometimes it's really hard to get into the top 25. Other times it's not that hard. And this year with COVID and everything, it ain't that hard.
If you get on the field, you already have a 7-point spread advantage. So
yeah.
Texas 20, Colorado 21.
4-0 Colorado.
Looking good too.
Just putting that out there.
Might be playing for the Pac-12 title next weekend. Oklahoma State 22, NC State 23, Tulsa 24, and welcome to the top 25 for the first time in I don't know how long, the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah. Eli Drinkwitz's got Missouri ranked in their first season. His first season as their head coach.
In a pandemic.
In a pandemic.
I feel like that's our go-to, right? Like, in a pandemic.
I think I say those words to myself at least, like, I don't know, twice a day.
So that, Tyler, is our top 25. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about the Florida Gators. We have our regular season finale, Tyler, this week. It is Florida versus LSU. It is a 7 o'clock kickoff under the lights in the swamp. ESPN. Tyler, I'm trying to put this in a way that doesn't seem very cocky. How bad is this beating going to be?
I'm actually, well, let's talk about the defense first, I think.
Oh, so you want to end on a good note.
Yeah, but like, okay. I actually think the defense is probably going to be fired up to play this game.
I agree.
Like, I know that this is not even remotely the same LSU team that it was last year, but the uniforms will look the same, so it'll feel like it.
And Tyler, it's still Coach O on the other end talking all that talk. So,
so I feel like, and you saw Kyrie Campbell tweet out.
I was gonna mention that Kyrie Campbell's tweet.
Kyrie Campbell tweeted out about a video of the LSU fans doing a gator chomp in like a Florida. I don't remember what they said, like Florida.
So instead of saying it's great to be a Florida Gator, they said it sucks to be a Florida Gator, while they all did the gator chomp as they walked out of Tiger Stadium last year.
Wow, so original.
After the game, after the most competitive game that LSU played in all of last season. I just want to emphasize that.
I want to say that's the absolute. I've heard a lot of hateful Gator chants in my life, as is everyone here's chants against their team by friends of theirs that aren't their fans of the same team.
Understandable.
But
so
the typical one you go with is it's great to be a Gator hater because it rhymes.
Yes.
And their inability to see that frustrates me. Anyway,
I can ask our sideline judgment official LSU correspondent, my cousin Vinny, who went to LSU, why they chose that specific chant rather than the one that you can rhyme very easily. So I'll get an answer for us on this Sunday's review.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think that Kyrie Campbell tweeted at that. He said, "LOL, we haven't forgotten."
No, exactly.
So I think the defense actually is going to come out hot in the sense of they're going to come out fired up. I don't know if that's going to come out well, but LSU's reeling offensively. Well, they were able to do some stuff against Alabama in the sense of like they had a long touchdown run and they had a long touchdown pass, and like Alabama doesn't. And this has been every year with Alabama, is that they're not that team that locks you down, that shuts people out really much anymore, except unless you're Mike Leach. But it's the holistic, like you can't keep. It's the same. It's a much more talented version of what Florida does on defense, where it's like, yeah, they may give up a touchdown here or there, but it's as long as they don't Texas A&M Florida game. Like as long as they can get like a stop or two, eventually the totality of their offense will be like a wave overcoming the opponent, which is funny because they're the Tide. Anyway, moving on from that.
Well, I just want to emphasize, I think this game, the Florida LSU rivalry, is what the Florida Tennessee rivalry was in the 90s.
Yeah,
and we've seen that in the past from a player perspective. Exactly. So we've seen that in the past few years. I know in my time at UF, a friend of the pod, medium income fan, Bucks fan, Tyler Renfro, he was at the Florida LSU game in Death Valley the last time we clinched the SEC East, with the big stop at the end of the game. So there's some big moments. There's Mullen's first big victory in the Swamp 2 years ago, which you were there for.
Yes, that was a great game.
There's been some big games in recent history, so the players are going to be up to that, and I think that's where Kyrie Campbell's energy, and we didn't forget, comes from as compared to Tennessee, the energy with Tennessee last week.
Also, Dan Mullen just doesn't like LSU, so there's that too.
That is very true, and I love that he doesn't like them.
Additionally, I think a big part of this, and I'll use this to transition a little bit more to the offense if you let me.
Tyler, you can do whatever you want, but it's your pod.
No, that's true. Is that this is senior night in the Swamp.
It is. And
specifically, I want everyone to understand this, and anyone who watches, even if you're not a Florida fan, to understand that not only this senior night, this is the last time we'll see Kyle Trask suit up in a Florida uniform at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And that is a pretty, Sergio just gave me a big sad face.
Yeah. And Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney, because they're both going to go to the draft.
Kyle Pitts came out today and said, I don't know if this will be my last game. Buddy, go get your money, please.
Kyle Pitts, you are a top 10 draft pick. Go get paid.
Anyway, this is the last time we'll see Kyle Trask suit up in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And we should just take a moment to, when you watch this game, you should take a moment to realize how kind of special that is. When it's seldom, sometimes you're able to realize in the moment how special a player is at your school. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Trask right now is one of those players. Additionally, I think the Florida offense is going to do anything that they want against. Well, not anything that they want. They're going to be able to move the ball on LSU. The run game hasn't worked a lot lately, but a large part of that, you got to remember, in the Tennessee game, is the Tennessee linebackers admitted that they were trying to stop the run.
Yeah, that was like a focal point that Pruitt instilled in that defense.
If you're focusing on stopping Florida's rushing attack, you can stop it. Like, that's not going to be an issue.
But you're going to give up some stuff on the back end.
It's an interesting, like, going backwards and kind of seeing how it will relate to this game. It's an interesting strategy because you could try and stop Florida's pass, sell out to stop Florida's pass, in which case you may slow Florida's pass down because I don't think you can shut it down, and then open yourself up to the run game, or you can completely shut down one side of the ball and leave yourself vulnerable to the best part of Florida's offense. So it's an interesting gamble. Kyle Trask, we saw just the Florida offense was up and down. I think in preparation for playing Alabama, for it being senior night, in such a big moment, I think Florida's gonna beat LSU. I mean, it may not be by as much as people want, but I think they're gonna beat LSU.
I agree, and I don't think
I just don't think that LSU has the energy to come out and beat Florida right now.
I feel like they really just want the season to finish. They really just want the end of the year, get to it, and that's it. So
yeah.
Alrighty, Tyler.
And Alabama hangover.
Which has worked in our favor this year.
It's helped us before.
It's helped us before. Hopefully, it helps us again.
It has also hurt us before because that's how we lost to Texas A&M. But whatever.
Yeah. Tyler, we don't need to hear that.
But Kellen Mond isn't lining up on that other sideline. So,
it's funny that I wasn't even afraid of Kellen Mond after we lost to him. I don't know how that's gonna be a thing. All right. Well, that's it on Florida LSU. Tyler, let's jump into 5 wide. Our score to date. Tyler 52, Sergio 45.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. Okay, Tyler. All right. It's 7 to date.
Points.
It's to date. We will fix it. First game up on
real quick. If you want me to pick first all of these games so that you can go contrary if you want, I will allow that.
So, you know what? I'll take you up on that offer.
We're in real crunch time here, Sergio.
You know what? I'll take you up on that offer.
You've got this week and you've got conference championship week. That's all you got to get back on me. So
you know what that is, Tyler? That is you're running the clock out. I have my 3 timeouts, and you end up calling on 3rd and 9. You have an incomplete pass, and I get to keep a timeout for my 2-minute.
I'm gambling here. I'm gambling,
and that's okay. I will accept it. So Tyler, the first game that you will be picking first, as you will with all of these, is Georgia at Missouri. It's a noon kickoff on SEC Network. Tyler, who do you got?
Okay. Top 10 Georgia
Top 10 Georgia.
is going to top 25 Missouri.
Yes.
Georgia didn't play last week because the Vanderbilt game got canceled, which wouldn't have mattered. They would have beaten them. Georgia's found something under JT Daniels a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where, like, I definitely expect Georgia's going to try their best, I think, to not show how good JT Daniels is. Because every time he makes a good pass, it invalidates the other 2/3 of the season. And every time he completes a good pass, it ups his draft stock, which the last thing you want if you're Georgia is him winning 4 meaningless games and a bowl game and leaving. That is the last thing you want. So I do think Georgia's going to play this game a little conservative.
Okay, so they're essentially, so what you're saying is that they are going to play a bit more conservative, as a way to prevent from putting too much JT Daniels footage on tape.
Yeah, and in fairness, I do still believe that JT Daniels is a little injured.
Okay.
So I don't think that I don't think they're trying to operate at maximum capacity. Meanwhile, Missouri's basically got nothing to lose here. They're just gonna, fresh off of a rivalry win where they dropped 50 on a much different defense.
I was gonna say, it's not like they dropped 50 and allowed 10. They dropped 50 and allowed 48.
A win's a win. You know what? This is totally 100% not a good idea. But I am gonna stick with who I am in my blood, and I'm gonna take. Well, more importantly, I'm not gonna take the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm gonna take the Missouri Tigers to pull an upset.
All right, that's it. I need to stop the pod. We need to stop the pod. Tyler, did you place a preseason bet that I was gonna win the picks competition? Is this what's going on? Is this what's happening?
Allegedly, maybe.
When you went to Vegas and you placed a bet on the Gators to win the national championship. In Reno.
Hey, it was not Vegas. It was Reno.
Okay, when you were in Reno and you placed that bet, did you secretly also place a bet that I was going to win the picks competition? Is that what's happening? There's no way you're doing this, dude.
No, I am. No. This is my one nonsensical take today.
Oh my God. All right, I'm going to take the layup. I'll take Georgia.
When you're up 7 points, I got to run a trick play.
What in the Dan Mullen was that sentence, Tyler?
What in the Dan
Mullen? You know what? Fine.
When your quarterback gets an MCL sprain and goes out for part of the second quarter, when you put him back in, you got to run the quarterback run. You just got to do it. Like,
all right, I'll take Georgia.
I can't pick Georgia. All right, I can't do it. All right,
that's fine. And you know what? It hurts me, but I will take it. I will pick Georgia to win on the road against Missouri. Okay. All right.
You
cool.
feel that?
Great.
Feel that? Like, take a moment and just feel what you just did. You just picked Georgia. I mean, we both picked Georgia at some point in the season, but like,
wow, man, I was okay. All right, I was fully
counter
expecting us
to show me I'm right. I don't actually. Okay, I'm not. This is a like off the wall pick. Like,
Tyler, this is the most big brain pick you've ever made.
I'm not like fully expecting this to happen. But if it does, I will 1,000,000% brag about it till the day that I die. Anyway, move on.
God. Okay. All right.
Next game up is number 17 North Carolina is going to number 10 Miami at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. I picked again. I just realized that.
You do. You're picking all of them. You put yourself in that situation, Tyler.
So this is tough. North Carolina and Miami. This is probably Miami's second toughest game this season.
After Clemson, yes, because they did not play. They didn't have Notre Dame on the schedule.
They did not play Notre Dame. North Carolina, I would argue, is the next best team in the conference.
Agreed.
Miami just came off like a 48-0 drubbing of Duke, which Duke is terrible. So there's that. But
yeah.
I think that Miami's played a lot of these games close this year, and Sam Howell can put up points. But so can Miami. Well, so can De'Aaron King.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Miami because I feel like they this couple weeks, especially after the Duke game, it's like they are having one of the best seasons they've had in a long time, and no one cares.
So I think no one cares, Tyler, because I think everyone who, and the committee included, because they've kept them at 10 ever since I think the rankings came out. I think it's because everyone's kind of realized that this is De'Aaron King and a bunch of other people. It's not that Miami is having this like super transcendent season that they figured it out on defense and their offense is clicking with multiple weapons. No, it's not that. The situation here is that De'Aaron King is really, really, really good. De'Aaron King is a top tier college football quarterback, and Miami is riding the coattails of that. Yeah. So I don't necessarily feel like I don't think it's like an underrated thing. I think they are properly rated by being at number 10 because De'Aaron King, I think, is worth 5 or 6 spots in the rankings.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I agree.
That's my opinion on that.
It's one of those things where like this would be probably, if Notre Dame wasn't in their conference at the moment, then we'd be talking about them a lot differently. Because they would have a chance. Because they would have a chance to play Clemson again. They would become a legitimate playoff contender. Because they're not in the ACC championship, they don't have a shot.
Agreed, but also it would be like the last time they were in the ACC championship game, which they got drubbed.
I agree, but we were talking about it then.
That's true. So
we were talking about that. That's all about my point. Is not the fact that they're any different from those teams. Because I think they're the same team I thought they're all season. Is they're the De'Aaron King show, and it's a pretty good show, but it ain't 10 out of 10.
Correct.
But the fact is, like, no one is talking about Miami except for we just spent like 5 minutes on it. Who are you picking?
I'm gonna have to go. Well, did you pick already?
I picked Miami.
Oh, you're gonna pick Miami. Okay, I was gonna go North Carolina originally because I trust, from what I saw North Carolina not last week but the week before when they played Notre Dame. What I saw that game was an improved defense. Right, the way that Notre Dame pulled away was Ian Book running around and doing the thing that he has done this season, which is add the quarterback scramble and extend plays to his quarterback outlook, to his game. And I feel like that's what kept North Carolina in the game up until the fourth quarter. I feel like the North Carolina offense is going to be able to attack this Miami defense that has been susceptible to the deep ball in the past. You look at their game against Virginia Tech about a month and a half ago. They dominated Miami over the top, right? You look at the way that they were played against Clemson, right? Trevor Lawrence torched them in the over the top. And granted, yes, Clemson is one thing, Virginia Tech is another. But I feel like North Carolina falls somewhere in the middle of that. And Sam Howell, we have seen it before. He can catch fire, he can spark it up, and he can go when needed. And I think with that defense showing us a bit more, I think they'll be able to get 1, maybe 2 stops on De'Aaron King, and that will allow for North Carolina to win the football game at the end of the day. Because they're playing in Miami. They're playing at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a 3:30 kick. It's going to be a big game in the Miami circles. Like, there a lot of the Miami beat writers that I follow and stuff, or people from back home. There's a lot of talk about this football game this Saturday, so that's going to be a big deal. But until Miami can prove me wrong and play a more complete game, I'm not going to really believe it.
Yeah, I understand.
And if I'm proved wrong here, I'm proved wrong. That's fine. You kind of gave me the Georgia point to level up there. So I'm going to go with North Carolina.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's move forward. We got Wisconsin and Iowa. It's a 3:30 kickoff on FS1. Tyler, who do you have?
I'm going to go Iowa because it's kind of also not being talked about, but Iowa's probably one of the better teams in the Big Ten this year.
Iowa is the definition of sneaky good.
Yeah, and they started off real bad. But I think that Iowa is going to Iowa and Wisconsin often run this basically kind of the same offense.
Yes,
or at least not necessarily the same style. They have the same philosophy. They have the same desires when they get the ball on offense. They have same desires in the ways they build their defense. And this season, Iowa's been a little bit more consistent, a little bit more explosive on offense. And when you can only score 6 points against Indiana and only, I believe, 7 against Northwestern, I ain't really gonna count you for too much. So I'm gonna take Iowa.
I'm gonna agree with you for all the same reasons. What really sold it to me was last week when they lost to Indiana, who was playing a backup quarterback, and I think they were at home, right? That was a home game for Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Iowa. Wisconsin's heading on the road. And like you said, I like what Wisconsin's been doing. They're playing tough defense, controlling the football, running it. Give me Iowa as well. That's an easy pick for us here. All right. Next one is Washington versus Oregon. This was supposed to be a top 25 matchup, but due to both teams losing last week, they ended up getting pulled down. This game is a 4:00 kickoff on Fox, on Big Fox. Tyler, who do you have?
I feel like there's only one way that this can go.
Oh, really?
We got to pick our teams, man. Like,
I think we do, Tyler.
I'm going with my Washington Huskies. Like, I absolutely have to. Yeah, they lost to a game. They lost a game to Stanford. That's got to humble them. Jimmy Lake's gonna get humbled with the boys real quick. And you know what? They may not come out strong, but I believe in Jimmy Lake's team. I believe in Dylan Moore's scrambling ability. I believe in their run game. I believe in their defense. I'm gonna take Washington.
I'm
fully aware that this is a coin flip game, but
I agree. And here's the thing: I also believe in Jimmy Lake. I also believe in Washington, but I'm gonna go with Oregon. Not only because I need the points to catch up, but because even though they're coming off back-to-back losses to Oregon State in a rivalry game, I think we should kind of throw a lot of things out the window in a big rivalry game. But they kind of were embarrassed last week against UCLA, even though UCLA has been improving, and we'll talk about them in a couple minutes. I'm going to go with Oregon because I feel like they need to bounce back, right? It's like a requirement for them to bounce back.
They got it.
And I feel like this game is going to have an underwriting, prove them wrong feeling for Oregon. Tyler, I want to ask you, who do you think the color analyst is for this game on Fox?
Do you know, or do I?
I do know. I looked it up. I'll give you a hint. He used to coach at Oregon.
My gut feeling wanted to say Chip Kelly for all those years that he did that, but it's not. Is it Mark Helfrich?
It is Mark Helfrich.
Oh, wow.
It is Mark Helfrich. He is doing the national color commentary for this game on Fox at 4:00. So for me, I don't know if it's the college football gods whispering in my ear, but I feel like Oregon's going to want to be like, hey, look how much better we are without you. I know that we lost 2 games in a row. I know we lost to our big rival Oregon State. I know we lost to a UCLA team that consensus around the nation is that they are not a good football team. But hey, we're going to bounce back. We're going to prove to you we're going to beat Washington. And this has been a big game over the past few years. I love this game. This has been growing as a
great uniform rivalry too.
Fantastic uniform.
Always great uniforms.
So for all those reasons, give me Oregon. I know you're taking Washington. Tyler,
I'm taking Washington.
Yeah. Let's stay out on the West Coast for this last game. 7:30 kickoff on ABC. It is USC against UCLA. Tyler, who you got?
Also great uniform rivalry because they both wear their reds and blues and
Can I give you a point? I think the first great uniform rivalry. I think this
truly is the one.
I think this is the one. You got the USC red and gold. You got the UCLA blue and gold. You have it's played in either the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum.
It goes well with that green field with the grass and the green. It works.
And they always play this game around sunset West Coast time, like the Rose Bowl, specifically so they can get that sunset lighting and it's just beautiful. Beautiful game. It's a 4:30 local kickoff, just around the same time as the Rose Bowl. Oh my God, fantastic! All right, Tyler.
So
who do you got?
If I asked you what Chip Kelly's record against USC was, what would you think it was?
He's been there. He was in the same hiring cycle as Mullen, so he's been there. This is his 3rd year.
Correct.
So I would say, I think my gut reaction is 0-2, but I have a feeling he's 1-1.
He is 1-1. He won his first year. That was with Clay Helton's 5-7 JT Daniels team.
Got it.
And then he lost last year against the Keaton Slovis team.
Mm-hmm.
And, we gave USC, rightfully I would say, a lot of crap earlier in the season. It wasn't crap. It was legitimate criticism. But USC is slowly, they did the Minnesota, the 2019 Minnesota, where they got lucky early.
Mm-hmm.
And then they figured themselves out, and now they're playing well. And I still want to clarify, I still don't think USC is that good. But they've under Clay Helton, they typically end up being an average team in most of their years. They're never going to be elite with Clay Helton. They were close to that one Sam Darnold year when they got hot, but they're never going to be elite with Clay Helton. UCLA has been improving all season under Chip Kelly.
They have.
And we talked about it. I think it's one of those things where the shortened record of this pandemic year is helping them.
Yes.
Because 2-4 looks different than 3-9.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, and I think they're better. I don't remember their record at the moment, but like they've won some games and been competitive in some games when I didn't think that they would be. So I think this will be a close game. It has been the last 2 years. I'm going to take USC though. I'm going to take the better team, more complete roster who's been figuring themselves out and is undefeated. Could easily go to UCLA. I could see it happening, but I'm going to go. UCLA still has a lot of the, I don't know if it's the right word, maturity of their team. Like they don't play consistent all the time, and they don't play mistake free.
Exactly.
They've had less mistakes, but they're still not at that point where I look at them and I'm like, that's a mistake. That's a team that when they make mistakes, it's a rarity, not a like, I don't look at them that way. Like when I look at them, I'm like, we're good for a turnover any second now. Like,
I agree. And I think for all those same reasons, I'm also going to take USC. I thought about UCLA just because I like what I've seen out of them the past few weeks. But I feel like in a rivalry game like this, I think one thing that Clay Helton actually has going for him is his ability to win the games. Like, the problem with Clay Helton isn't that he doesn't win the football games. The problem with Clay Helton is that his team is so inconsistent and sporadic in the way that they win football games.
Yeah.
And this game against UCLA, I think, is no exception. I'm with you. Any given moment, you can get something that goes wrong for USC. And UCLA, could be making the improvements and could pounce on it and make a difference. But I think if you're going to ask me right now, I think I'm going to go with a better team. I'm going to go with USC. And watching them last week, their offense was clicking. They played that Sunday night game. That was a game that I had the alerts on my phone on, and 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Like, that offense was moving, and I feel like they can take that into the rivalry game. And unfortunately for USC fans, I think it'll give Clay Helton yet another year at the helm in LA. So that's that. Tyler,
well,
5-wide recap. I have Georgia. You have Missouri. That's a noon kickoff on SEC Nation. I have North Carolina. You have Miami. That's a 3:30 kick on ABC. We both have Iowa taking on Wisconsin. That's a 3:30 kick on FS1. You have Washington. I have Oregon. That's a 4 o'clock kick on Fox. And we both have USC to beat UCLA. That's a 7:30 kickoff on ABC. Tyler, it is time for our 2-point conversion. You go first this week. Who do you have in your 2-point?
You're going to hate me.
No, you're not. No,
I don't care. Last week was typically when rivalry week was.
Yes,
you would think, but that's been kind of continuing as we just talked about: Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA, all these other games that are around the country that are kind of like rivalries that haven't been played yet. Like half of rivalry week was put into this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna get to Saturday yet. I'm gonna stay in the weekday, and I'm gonna take a rivalry that we love to watch. It is, it's currently between 2 winless teams, so someone's gonna win it.
Okay,
but I'm gonna go to the lovely state that my aunt lives in. It's a great state, Arizona.
Okay,
and I'm going to where she lives in Tucson. And I'm going to take the Arizona State Sun Devils with Jaden Daniels to go down into Tucson and defeat the Arizona Wildcats for their first win of the season, to go 1-2 and to win their rivalry game. I'm going to take Arizona State.
Tyler, I don't know how, but this is a hate crime. I don't know how. I'll figure it out in court, but this is a hate crime. It is inexplicable.
With the rate these things in court go, you have like 3 months to figure out what I actually did. Like,
you know what? And I think I will. I find it like just flat out disrespectful what you just did to me. What you literally just did to me. It's horrible. Tyler, you know what? I'm going to come back with an even bigger rivalry game.
Oh boy.
It's a Saturday. It is the game of the week. And it is not in the SEC. It is the one, the only Army-Navy game. That's this Saturday. Weekend? It is this week, Tyler.
What?
Because conference championship got it all out of whack.
Oh, no.
No.
Why wasn't that in our 5 wide? How did I let you get away with this?
Chestnut checkers, my friend. Chestnut
No.
checkers.
Like a triple option team, you caught me sleeping.
I caught you sleeping. I threw it right after Alabama and right before your bye week.
Damn.
Come on, Tyler.
Okay.
I'm going to go Army-Navy game, and given the fact that this game is consistently the better team wins this football game in the past few years, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Army because they are 7-2 as compared to Navy's 3-6. Now,
all right.
I know that's weird because Navy.
You want to talk about hate crime? That's hate crime against me. I live 5 minutes away from a naval base.
You do, Tyler. I'm closer to Annapolis than you are. Tyler, I'm also closer to West Point than you are.
Yeah, well, Tyler, I'm closer to Arizona than you are.
You are, but I'm also closer to Philadelphia, which is where this game will be played this weekend. Boom. Fine. Got you on that one. I'm taking Army 7-2. I'm taking Army over Navy. For the troops, Tyler. It's strictly for the troops.
No, my Mariners.
All right.
I can't wait to watch this game. What's this game's competition at the moment? It is I'm not watching any of these games.
I think
I'm watching Army Navy.
I think that's the one. That's the one you got to throw on there. Luckily in this house, FAU plays on Thursday night, and then FAU Marshall is playing Charlotte on Friday, and if Charlotte wins, FAU's in the conference championship. So we also have a game to watch on Friday in this house. And then
you guys are Will Healy fans right now.
Oh, we are big Will Healy fans. I think I'm consistently a Will Healy fan.
Oh, this is a Will Healy Stan podcast.
Yeah, of course. We stand Will Healy. So Thursday, big game FAU. Friday, go Will Healy. Standing, got to go on there. Saturday,
also Friday, go Jaden Daniels at 7:00 Eastern.
Unfortunately, not this week.
I've always believed in you. You are my quarterback on this.
Whoa, whoa! We gotta slow you down there. I gotta slow you down there, big boy. Easy. You got too much dip on your chip. Let's not go off and claiming quarterbacks because Chase Garbers could be mine real quickly.
Okay, dude, you shut up. All right. What is with us in Pac-12 quarterbacks?
What is with us in the Pac-12? Like
we love the Pac-12.
We love the Pac-12. Oh man, you're gonna love it when you head out to the West Coast. You're gonna love like watching those games like normal times.
I would be at some of these games probably. Watch it. You damn right I'm gonna watch it.
Oh man,
I'll be there and I will care more than most of their fans can.
Tyler, I think that is a perfect moment to segue to our final segment, which is tweets that we have shared. Tyler, what's your favorite tweet that you've shared with
Speaking of honorary Pac-12 teams, you sent me a tweet by Bomani Jones referencing another tweet. The tweet in question from Yahoo Sports College Football. Okay, if anyone's listening in the car with a kid, just be aware that we're going to talk about some serious stuff right here, but also they deserve to learn about the world. And about what it's like to live life. This tweet by Yahoo Sports College Football is UNLV QB Max Gilliam issued an apology for eating sushi off a nude model on a reality TV show.
Pause before you get to wait. But before you get to Bomani quoting him, is that not the most college football sentence you have ever heard? Like
what? Well, I don't. What is the?
This
he goes to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which real quick, yeah, it's what. Here's the thing: he's in the West Coast. That's why this was even made aware of. This would never have gotten out in the SEC.
No. Well, here's the thing: what's even crazier is he was on a nationally televised reality TV show.
Look, I've been in Nevada. You got like.
There's nothing else.
People are very lax about these things. There ain't much else to do.
That's just a Thursday night out in Vegas.
Well, the tweet by Bomani Jones was, the UNLV of my youth would retire his number for this. Which honestly, yes. Retire this man's number.
I don't understand why he apologized.
I don't understand either. I would not have done it.
No, if I was in his shoes, I would have been like, Why do I have to apologize
for living life better than the rest of you?
Why do I have to apologize for being a college quarterback? Like the stories, and I texted you this, but the stories of Jacob Eason's recruiting trip to Florida are just
Legendary.
times.
Legendary.
They're 50 times worse than what this kid did at UNLV. Like,
yeah, that's what I text you. It's just like, this is like child's play to every marginally successful quarterback at any small college town in most of America. Like,
just I want you to go to Madison, Wisconsin when Graham Hertz had that 1 week of stardom earlier this season.
He got COVID. Why do you think that happened?
Why do you think he got COVID? Come on, man. Oh, fantastic by Bomani there.
Now, mean, clarification, there's probably not any sushi in Madison, Wisconsin, but
I had something else to say,
that.
I had something else to say, but I don't want to get hit with the explicit tab, so we're just gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward.
Nice family run podcast.
We're gonna move forward. My favorite tweet you sent me was by the one, the only Miami Dolphins legend, Larry Zonka.
Oh boy.
Legendary fullback for the 1972 Miami Dolphins team. And this was immediately at the end of the Washington football team defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers to confirm, and still the only undefeated team in NFL history, the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Are you done?
That's it. Yeah, I was done. That was it. I just really wanted to hit. And speaking of Vegas, I wanted to hit the and new or the and still as I did with the Dolphins.
Okay.
Shout out to the Washington football team. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They came in clutch.
Gatorade
John Bostic with the interception.
Gatorade John Bostic. Love the man. The Dolphins are still the only undefeated team in NFL history. Rest in peace to the great Don Shula. It would have been an insult to football everywhere for the record to be broken the year that Don Shula passes away.
Do you still maintain that you would buy Eli Manning whatever drink he wants because of...
Oh, yes, on site, a double, whatever he wants, dude, on site. I'm buying. If I ever run into Eli Manning, I'm buying him a drink, and I know that he's a millionaire, and he would be like, "No, dude, it's okay, I can buy my own drink." Be like, "No, you don't understand.
You don't understand.
You don't get this. I'm a Dolphin fan, and I thank you for your service. All right. If he was like." I like how the whole is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer question is a big topic of discussion up here. I'm not in the Northeast, but up in the Northeast.
Oh boy!
And it's very much Giants fans saying, of course he is, and every other team in the NFC East saying, no, he's not. Look at his numbers. He's a mediocre quarterback. That's not a conversation in South Florida. In South Florida, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He might damn near get his number retired by the Dolphins when it's all said and done. Like, the man is a legend for doing it.
Like, whenever the Giants come to play down in Hard Rock,
standing ovation.
Nobody on the Giants better be wearing 10.
No, nobody. Put some respect on that name. So that offer still stands. Eli, if you hear this, the offer still stands.
I'm of the mindset, everybody's just like, yeah, but Eli Manning's numbers suck, and he dwindled his late career. And I'm like, yeah, but every game, playoff game, and Super Bowl Tom Brady wins is just cementing Eli Manning's legacy.
Facts. Facts. Very true.
Like, because every additional Super Bowl that Tom Brady puts up, you're just like, okay, but how did Eli Manning beat him twice?
Well, I've heard a bunch of Giants fans up in Connecticut say that they want because they're going to get the playoff, because they're probably going to win the division and get the playoff game. They're saying that they want the Bucks to be the 5 seed so that they play Brady, and they're like, oh, we got Brady's number. That's it. It's good. We want Brady. He can't beat us. I'm like, oh my God. Jeez, okay. I didn't know it was that intense.
I mean, I want to see this now just because I want to see it. Like,
exactly, yeah. But incredible. That's tweets we shared. Tyler, I think that wraps up the episode. Is there
Miami
anything
Dolphins
you want to say?
Still undefeated.
You know
Miami
it,
Dolphins
baby.
Still undefeated.
You know it.
No, just this is the last. It's not the last week of the regular season because there's still regular season games being played next week for conference championship week. But this is the last week before conference championship week. We're finally having conference championship week. We're going to be picking all the games next week. Hopefully, I can blow out for Sergio even more. Connor Bazelak, don't let me down. No, it's fine. It's fine. That's undue expectations on Missouri. I don't know why I did that to you guys.
Yeah, dude.
A fun week of college football. It again sucks that I would argue the 3 most interesting teams aren't playing as of the current moment when this is recorded on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
The 3 teams with the most to gain by playing.
Right. Well, we'll see. If we get a miracle,
one of them probably will.
If we get a miracle,
if we did, I'll take Ohio State against either of them.
I would agree, and I think if we get a miracle Ohio State Texas A&M game, we may have to come on for 10 minutes and just talk about it because it's too big of a game for that to not go and talked about.
Oh. What if Texas A&M and Cincinnati schedule a game together and just leave Ohio State out in the cold?
Oh my, that's Chinese.
I kind of want that to happen now.
That's Chinese checkers, Tyler.
I don't need more wear and tear on Justin Fields before he comes to my Jaguars.
Oh, big brain. Here we go. I mentioned the Dolphins. We had to get a Jags reference in.
You damn right we do.
So, with that, Tyler, I think I'm going to wrap up the episode. This has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And we are not biased, and we did not forget Kyle Trask for Heisman.
Kyle Trask for Heisman.